The old man kneels in the dirt, pulling weeds from a flower bed. Nobody asked him to tend, when the shadow of the academy's seal falls across his hands. Groundskeeper Ren. The steward's voice carries the practiced boredom of a man delivering bad news for the 100th time. The board has reviewed your registry status. Effective today, you are relieved of your post. Ren doesn't look up. His hands are spotted with age, his robes patched gray on gray, his back bent from decades of bending over the same beds. The roses on the east wall need pruning by autumn, he says mildly. If I leave, no one will remember to do it. That's not the board's concern. The steward holds out a folded letter, sealed in academy wax. Your rank reads null, unmeasured. In 31 years, you've never once registered for evaluation. The academy cannot house staff with no recorded class, no recorded rank, and no recorded purpose. You have until sundown to vacate the grounds. A ripple of laughter spreads through the courtyard. Students have gathered, drawn, as students always are, to the smell of someone smaller being made smaller still. At the front of them stands Aaron Kalthus, 17 years old, golden-eyed, the youngest one-ranker in the academy's 200-year history. His blade, a slender saber of white-forged steel, rests easy against his shoulder, and his smile is the smile of a boy who has never once been told no. Old man, Arn says, loud enough for the whole courtyard to hear, you've been raking leaves here since before my father enrolled. Null-rank. Do you even know what that means? It means the system looked at you and found nothing. Not weak, not hidden, nothing. More laughter. A few of the younger students actually applaud. Ren straightens, slowly, the way old joints do, and looks at the letter in the steward's hand. Not at Arn, at the letter. If it troubles you so much, Arn continues, stepping closer, saber sliding off his shoulder into a lazy guard. Prove the registry wrong. One bout. Right here, right now. Land a single hit on me, and I'll personally ask the board to let you keep your little garden. His grin sharpens. Refuse, and you walk out that gate today, in front of everyone, exactly as worthless as your rank says you are. The courtyard goes quiet, hungry for the answer. Ren takes the letter from the steward's hand. He looks at it for a long moment, at the wax seal, at his own name written in some clerk's careless hand. Ren, null, terminated. Then he walks, unhurried, to the iron brazier at the garden's edge. The one he has kept burning, day and night, for 31 years. The one everyone assumed was just an old man's habit of staying warm. And he drops the letter in. The wax seal hits the coals first. It does not simply melt. It screams. A line of white light tears upward from the brazier. Not fire, but something underneath fire. A seam in the world splitting open along an old scar. The flame turns the color of a dying star. The ground beneath Ren's feet cracks in a perfect ring, 30 feet across, and from every crack, threads of pale light begin to rise, thin as spider silk, glowing, climbing toward the sky like 1,000 strings being plucked all at once. System, conditional seal, trend 01 detected trigger. Final notice of dismissal, consumed by flame. System, seal integrity 0%, releasing. System, threadbinder, sovereign class, restoring true designation. System, accumulated dormancy, 312 years, 4 months, 11 days. Mastery retained in full. System, tier reclassification, null above registry. Arn's grin doesn't fade so much as it simply stops existing, because the threads of light aren't only rising from the brazier. They're rising from everywhere. From the roses on the east wall, from the old stone benches where students nap between classes, from the cracked statues in the entrance hall, from the well no one's drawn water from in a decade, from the foundation of the dormitories themselves. 312 threads, each one a binding Ren laid down with his own hands, year after year, disguised as gardening, as maintenance, as the harmless busywork of a harmless old man, and every single one of them was a root of something far larger, planted and waiting. A first-year girl near the front, the one who, just yesterday, had laughed loudest when Arn called him the Academy's pet rock, stumbles backward, as the bench she's leaning against splits open along a seam she never noticed before, revealing a core of pale stone etched with characters none of them recognize. The script predates the Academy itself. It predates the kingdom. The Academy was built to serve. That's, one of the senior instructors near the gate whispers, going pale. That's first-era script. That hasn't been written in 300 years. Where did he? He's been here longer than the Academy has, murmurs another, staring at the cracking statues. Gods, we built the dormitories. On top of him. The threads converge on the staff in Ren's hand. The plain wooden pruning staff he has carried every day for 31 years splits down its length with a sound like cracking ice, and from inside it unfolds a weapon of pale silver white. Not a sword exactly, more a single long branch of living light. Humming, with a pressure that makes every awakened student in the courtyard drop instinctively to one knee, gasping as if the air itself just got heavier. Arn does not kneel. Arn cannot kneel. His legs simply stop answering him, locked rigid by a weight he has no name for. Ren turns to face him. His back is no longer bent. His eyes, pale gray a moment ago, now hold a faint, slow-turning silver light, like coins spinning at the bottom of a deep well. 300 years ago, Ren says, and his voice hasn't gotten louder, but somehow it reaches every corner of the courtyard. There was a purge. Sovereigns, true sovereigns, the rank above every rank your registry has a box for, were hunted, because the old empires feared what a handful of us could do if we ever disagreed with them. He takes one slow step forward. The cracked ring of stone beneath him flows, resealing itself, smooth as poured glass. I sealed myself, not to hide, to survive. I let the world forget what I was, and I planted myself somewhere quiet, and I waited. He glances, almost fondly, at the roses on the east wall, roses that are now glowing faintly, threads of light pulsing through their stems like veins. 31 years in this garden, long enough to grow roots into every stone of this place, long enough that when the seal finally broke, it wouldn't just wake me. The statues in the entrance hall groan, stone grinding against stone, and begin, slowly, impossibly, to stand. It would wake everything I'd already built. Arn finds his voice, though it comes out smaller than he intends. That's not possible. The registry would have a sovereign-class signature, even sealed, would register as null. Ren finishes for him almost gently, because null was never nothing. Boy, null was the box your registry uses for things it doesn't have the language to measure. He lifts the silver branch blade, barely, just a few inches. You asked me to land one hit on you. I'll do you better. He doesn't move fast. That's the part that will haunt the courtyard for years afterward. He doesn't move fast at all. He simply steps. Once, and the space between himself and Arn simply isn't there anymore. The way a page simply isn't there anymore once you've turned it. The silver blade taps Arn's saber, not strikes. Taps. And the white forged steel, the Academy's pride, the blade Arn has trained with since he was 6 years old, shatters into 1,000 falling petals of light, drifting down around him like snow. Arn's knees finally give out, not from the weight in the air this time, from something simpler. He kneels in the falling pieces of his own blade. The headmaster arrives at a dead run, robes flapping, 2 senior board members behind him, all 3 skidding to a halt at the courtyard's edge as the awakened statues settle into formation around the garden. Silent, glowing sentinels that have stood disguised as decoration for 3 decades, now standing guard. The headmaster's eyes go from the statues, to the glowing roses, to the cracked then-healed stone, to the old man at the center of it all, and then to the scrap of half-burned wax still, smoking in the brazier. He doesn't ask what happened. He already knows. He's seen the registry's true history, buried in a vault 3 administrations deep. The records of a sovereign-class signature that vanished from the world 300 years ago and was never, ever found. There's a footnote in that vault, one he read once as a junior administrator and dismissed as a clerical curiosity. Last known location, unconfirmed, possibly within the verdant wall. He remembers laughing about it at the time. He isn't laughing now. 312 constructs, the second board member breathes, staring at the statues now standing in a perfect ring around the garden, each one humming faintly with the same pale light. He's been this place, the whole time. Every ward failure we ever patched, every monster incursion that mysteriously stopped at the tree line. That wasn't luck. That wasn't the old wards holding. That was him, the headmaster says quietly. That was him the entire time. He drops to one knee in the dirt, robes and all, beside the boy he came to support. Sovereign Ren, the headmaster says, and his voice shakes. On behalf of the Academy Board, I withdraw the notice. I withdraw it completely. We had no idea. 31 years, and we never, I know. Ren says simply, that was rather the point. System, Threadbinder Network, status, active. 312 dormant constructs online. Academy Ward integrity increased by 940%. System tier, registry evaluation, declined by subject. Ren turns away from the kneeling headmaster, away from the shattered prodigy, and walks, at the same unhurried pace he's always walked, toward the east wall, where the roses are still glowing softly, settling now into an ordinary gentle light. He kneels again in the dirt beside the flower bed. They'll need pruning by autumn, he says, to no one in particular, and goes back to work. Behind him, the courtyard remains frozen. Students who stepped over him for 31 years now, staring at the bent back of a man they suddenly understand they never saw at all. Arn Kalthus sits in the wreckage of his own blade, looking at the old gardener's hands moving gently among the roses, and for the first time in his life, the Heast One ranker has absolutely nothing to say. Slowly, one by one, the students begin to bow, not because anyone tells them to, but because there is nothing else to do in the presence of something that old, that patient, that quietly enormous. Even the headmaster stays kneeling, head bowed, until Ren, without looking up from the roses, speaks again. Get up, all of you. You'll crush the borders. A pause, and the faintest trace of dry humor creeps into his voice. I planted those borders in the spring of my 409th year. I'd rather not replant them, because a room full of children decided to have a moment. A few nervous laughs ripple through the courtyard, relief finding an outlet at last. Slowly, students rise. The statues, their part finished, settle back into stillness, though the pale light in their eyes never quite fades all the way this time. Arn rises last. He walks to where Ren kneels, and after a long moment he kneels too, not from the weight in the air, but on his sosen. I called you Null, Arn says. The arrogance is gone from his voice. What's left sounds almost like a child's. For years, everyone did. I made you carry firewood in the rain. I let people laugh at you. You did, Ren agrees, trimming a dead leaf with 2 fingers, calm as ever. And one day, when you're older, you'll understand that the world is full of quiet things wearing old coats, and the only mistake that ever truly matters is deciding you already know what's underneath one. He glances sideways, and for just a moment, the silver light in his eyes warms into something almost kind. You have talent, boy. Real talent. That part of the registry wasn't wrong. Come back tomorrow, before the eastern gate opens. Bring a shovel instead of that saber. We'll see if talent and patience can learn to get along. Arn blinks. You're offering to teach me? I'm offering you weeding duty, Ren says. Whether it becomes teaching is entirely up to you. The wind shifts. Somewhere above the academy, 312 threads of pale light settle quietly back into the stones, the statues, the walls, the soil, invisible again, the way they've always been, the way they'll stay until the day this old man decides, once more, that the world has earned the right to see what's underneath. For now, there are roses to tend, and, it seems, one new apprentice who will learn, the hard way, that the most dangerous person in any courtyard is very often the one nobody bothered to look at twice.